You guys know the drill. Just let me know in the chat if you have a question, and we'll get started with Jeff Ferrato. Go ahead, Jeff.
Peter, Arizona's had difficulty offensively much of the year, but last week scored 34 points at the Coliseum against USC, and their quarterback played really well. And can you comment on what you're seeing out of them now?
Yeah, they got, they really showed a lot of dynamic playmaking ability in the SC game. They threw the ball over SC's head a few times. They had some designed wildcat throws. They started playing faster. They started playing with a lot more confidence. So I know that's been something that I'm sure the staff has been looking to get. And then, they really did put it together and played really well. And more importantly, I think they played really hard in that game. And I think that's what you're hearing out of Tucson is they're coming together as a team.
And what's your impressions of Plummer, the second-year freshman quarterback?
The first thing, he had, there was a 3rd and 10. He threw a beautiful deep, what we call it a dagger, a deep in cut, which was a very, very impressive throw. And then I think it was 3rd and goal from the 16-yard line. And on a scramble, he ended up running down in. So he's getting better running the football. He had a couple times that he moved the pocket and delivered the ball. And then that deep dagger was a nice ball he threw. So those are 2 plays that I know he'll be, good plays for him, and they're challenging plays for us. And you can see that he's very talented.
And if I could just change gears real quick, we've obviously talked to you about Nate Ricina recently, but he had another good game on Saturday. Can you just talk about where he's at right now for a guy who's played as little as he has and didn't even have a high school senior year and then changed positions and all that stuff? You must be real pleased with his progress.
Yeah, we've been very pleased with Nate. First thing that I would say is young players that have come in and been successful or earned playing time. All my experiences are young men that show maturity, and not necessarily just on the football field, but maturity of how they handle school, how they handle being away from home, how they handle all the other, not necessarily distractions, but new things that are presented once you get to college. He came in and was really good in the spring, made tremendous progress when he first arrived here. And then I think it's a very valuable lesson for all of us. And we were talking as a defensive staff a few weeks ago is, a lot of the young players aren't ready week 1, but that does not mean they're not ready. It's just the development from those first 4 weeks in camp. Sometimes it's actually, you see a tremendous amount of improvement when things kind of slow down, the installation slows down, and you start having some of the, what we call is you start stacking the days, you start building on the fundamental things that we do week in and week out. And that's when, he continued to show up and on the practice, he earned the playing time.
I can imagine it would be somewhat tricky to try to project a guy out of high school who's going to be playing a different position. You guys already knew you're going to play him in a different spot than he played in high school. What goes into that, and how confident were you when you saw him that this would translate?
The first thing you look for me, I can only speak for myself, is guys that have playmaking ability that show, comfort at multiple positions. When they get the ball in their hands, are they elusive? Do they run hard? What type of eye-hand coordination? And I think a linebacker is a trait that I'm continuing to value more and more. Overall eye-hand coordination and body control. Nate, you've seen the 2 interceptions. Those types of plays are huge. You go back to Evan Weaver. If you just sat down or got on the field and played catch with Evan Weaver, his ball skills and the way he could track a ball, his body control, not necessarily what their 40 is or what their vertical is, but people that have the ability to control their body in space typically are really good tacklers. They might not be measurement guys, but the eye-hand coordination and the body control, I think, are the things that I'm looking for when we're trying to project really any defensive player, but particularly a player that's going to be around the football or playing in space in the pass game.
And those are things you saw when you watched Nate in high school?
I did. I got to watch him several times. I've had a couple of my girls attended Monte Vista, and they were cheerleaders, so they were participating in an event when I was going to the game. So it was an opportunity to see him live, and also an opportunity to watch the girls cheer And then Nate came to camp prior to his senior year, and he came through and did the linebacker drills. And I can vividly remember understanding that he was going to be a projected player, not a position that he was going to be playing in high school, for us to be able to, have great film what he did. And we were working on a one-man sled that day, and Nate Ricina probably hit that thing 20 times in a row. And part of that was, how did he develop? How did he take coaching? What was his personality? When he was asked to do something that he wasn't comfortable doing. And from that, I thought he did a really nice job handling himself. And at camp, he was a very attentive, very mature young man. And we felt comfortable after that evaluation and going forward to senior year, going ahead and extending that offer.
Terrific. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll go to Trace. Go ahead, Trace.
Yeah, Coach, when we talked with Coach Wilcox on Saturday and yesterday, I asked about Isaiah Young, and he's someone who came right in Saturday and just excelled. And Justin mentioned that he's kind of done all the stuff right, not only on the practice field, but in the weight room and everywhere else. What has been your view of him, and how has he excelled outside of just practice?
I think Isaiah is another good example of, like I said, Justin doing things right, but he has matured a great deal since he's arrived with us. He has very nice instincts. He's around the ball a lot. You see him make plays in practice, but what we're seeing now is a more consistent Isaiah, where some of the things that he was struggling with in terms of consistency, he's improving on. No player will ever be 100% consistent. That's not how it works. But what he has done on the practice field has been really encouraging. And then again, it's very similar to what I kind of about Nate is. Everyone has a different time, when they're prepared to go in and play. And Isaiah has been a player, and on defense, there are certain positions and certain players throughout the season that we grade every single one of their reps, so we can quantify and we can give information of what they need to do better to see the field, what they're currently doing well, and then that helps us set the depth chart. Sometimes it's important for us to remove the emotions of it, because we are so familiar with our players that sometimes it's good to have an objective lens and to look at everybody that way. And Isaiah was a player we've been grading for weeks and weeks, and he consistently has been improving. And, through the improvement and through grading that and documenting that, we felt comfortable it was time for him to come in. And thankfully he was prepared, and he came in and he was, really, really instrumental in us winning that game.
And on a different note, you mentioned when asked about Arizona, Joyner, their Wildcat wide receiver, quarterback type dude. He may not play this weekend, but what kind of things have you seen from him?
Well, he's obviously very good with the ball in his hand, but the things that, he's throwing some deep balls, were obviously designed early in the game. But a strong runner, has a quarterback background. I believe he played some quarterback when he first arrived at Arizona. So I think he has a much better comfort level of some of the zone read, and then the trust of the coaching staff to be able to throw the football. So that becomes a really challenging situation. I know scholarship numbers, they're significantly down at that position. So you can imagine you're always working on, ways to supplement that position in the event of other injuries, or just to supplement the overall offense. And I think in both situations, to supplement the positions and to supplement the offense, I think that's been a real good answer for them.
And on that note, from what I've seen of them, they're more willing to, I guess, empty the clip, so to speak, as far as their playbook goes, with a lot of trick plays and not necessarily gimmicks, but, gadgets and stuff like that. What have you seen on that front?
Yeah, we're getting some different formations. You've seen them. You saw obviously a lot of the Wildcat, but there are some other formations that, people call them Daffy Duck or Emory and Henry, or a lot of different vernaculars for some people call them tripod, when you have, they have the core and then you have two split out sides. They have some formations where they have a single offensive lineman split out in my opinion, an attempt to hide an eligible receiver. So they're doing a nice job. They do a good job of incorporating tempo, at the right time. You watch the UCLA game and the tempo of the game and the speed of play was really challenging for UCLA defensively to be lined up with 11 guys with bent knees ready to play.
Okay, either one of you guys with the final question? Jeff, was that a yes or?
That was, I'm all
You're
done.
all
Thank you,
set?
Peter.